Big time story coming out of the gaming world. The FTC has filed an antitrust lawsuit to block Microsoft's $69 billion purchase of Activision Blizzard. This is huge, and it seems to be centering around one game and one game in particular, and that's Call of Duty. But let's read a little bit over here on Yahoo Finance, and it says the FTC filed an antitrust lawsuit against Microsoft on Thursday in an attempt to block Microsoft's $69 billion acquisition of Call of Duty publisher Activision Blizzard. The suit comes as regulators in the UK's Competition and Markets Authority and the European Commission continue to evaluate the deal. Rival PlayStation maker Sony has been lobbying regulators around the world in an attempt to curtail Microsoft's plans. In a press release, the FTC asserted that the deal would enable Microsoft to suppress competitors to its Xbox gaming console and its rapidly growing subscription content and cloud gaming business. The deal, which Microsoft announced in 2022 of January, would make the tech giant the third largest gaming company in the world by revenue behind Tencent and Sony. Microsoft claims that the move will help compete in the compete in the mobile gaming space thanks to Activision Blizzard's King business and continue to build out its Xbox Cloud gaming service. Xbox Cloud Gaming allows users to stream and play video games from Microsoft servers to less strongly powered devices like smartphones, laptops, Chromebooks, and even smart TVs without the need for a pricey console or PC. According to Microsoft CEO, more than 20 million people streamed games via Xbox Cloud Gaming as of October 2022. That's an increase from just 10 million in April of 2022. According to the market rival Sony, if Microsoft is permitted to purchase Activision Blizzard, the combined company would be able to make Call of Duty an Xbox or PC exclusive. That would cut Sony off from the game series entirely, and while Activision Blizzard owns the other gaming franchises, including Diablo and World of Warcraft, Call of Duty is its crown jewel. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 topped $1 billion in the game's first 10 days on the market, and the firm's new Call of Duty Warzone 2.0 is expected to generate revenue throughout 2023. I think this is crazy. I think this is funny. Again, I have a PlayStation 5, I have an Xbox Series X, and I have a Nintendo Switch. I play as many games as I possibly can, and but I have no allegiance towards PlayStation or Xbox, and I always think it's nonsense to have allegiance towards Xbox or PlayStation because they're so reliant upon third-party titles. It's not to say they don't have amazing first-party titles, that they clearly both do, and they have really good ones, but they don't move the needle the way that some of the third-party titles do. Whereas Nintendo, I mean, they just made a deal with, I guess there was an announcement from Activision saying Call of Duty is going to be on Nintendo for the next 10 years. As someone that really does love Nintendo, I will not play Call of Duty on a Nintendo system. I have no desire whatsoever. I'll play it on anything other than a Nintendo system. I play Nintendo for its first-party titles because that's what it's defined off of. So Nintendo is not reliant upon other companies and what they do. And now Sony has dominated the console war in terms of the Xbox versus Sony situation. I don't think Nintendo is a direct competitor at all to Xbox or Sony. Nintendo's just doing their own thing out there. But Sony kind of has dominated since the Xbox 360 era. Now, the Xbox 360, I felt like was the gamers console at the time. That just seemed like that's where everyone was, and I think a lot of that was Xbox Live. Xbox Live really did make that the gamers console. Now, the PlayStation 3 ultimately won that generation in terms of sales, but the momentum and the heart of the gamers, I feel like, was on the Xbox 360. But after that, Xbox has never been able to get traction against Sony. Sony has continued to be the standard. Now, PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, which is I think still the biggest selling console of all time. I think the Nintendo Switch will probably surpass that over the next year or two if Nintendo keeps pressing forward. But the PlayStation 2, mainly because it was the cheapest DVD player on the market, but still, the PlayStation 2 had an amazing library of games. And the PlayStation 3, PS4, and now onto the PS5, they've just been dominating the Xbox. Now Sony's in a situation where Microsoft has all this money. They've got this massive purchase, and Call of Duty is the crown jewel. I know a lot of people have their opinions on Call of Duty. I haven't liked Call of Duty Well, I went a long time without caring about Call of Duty, but I recently have returned to Call of Duty, and I do think Modern Warfare 2 is very good, and Warzone 2.0 is very good. These games turn the needle. They absolutely do. I think these games, as it currently sits, I think that the way that the template has been built, I don't think you help Call of Duty in the long run by taking it away from a massive platform like Sony. I just don't see how that's helpful at all. I think that it's better when it's on multiple platforms because of the way it's been built out. It's just circumstantial as to what happens. Like, I don't want Nintendo systems on different consoles. I just don't. I'm sorry, Nintendo games. I don't want Nintendo games on different consoles. I don't. I want Nintendo games to stay on Nintendo platforms because that's how it's always been and that's what's worked. And Nintendo has their own way of doing things. Whereas third-party developers have really come to prominence with creating these for multiple platforms. The best thing that ever happened to Titanfall franchise was that it was multiple platforms for Titanfall 2. Even though it didn't help Titanfall 2 in the big scheme of things, it did help it get it out there to more people because the first Titanfall was an Xbox exclusive and it didn't really get out there to a lot of people. Titanfall 2 is available on both systems and it really hit a wider audience. Still didn't hit the wide audience that it needed to, and it's still one of the best games ever, but that's neither here nor there. Ultimately, I'd like to see Call of Duty remain multiple platforms. But Sony, you built your model off of being heavily reliant off of a third-party developer. That's not really how you build that out. I mean, you've been successful at it. I'm not hating. Again, I don't really have an allegiance towards Sony or Xbox. It really comes down to me. For a while, it was what online service was better, Xbox Live or PlayStation Network. And for the longest, Xbox Live was just substantially better. Now, I think they're fairly even, and I don't really think it matters what network you're on from that perspective. But Xbox has, you know, all of their, Game Pass. They have Game Pass, which is fantastic. But really what it comes down to me, I'm an old school gamer, so certain little things matter. I like the PlayStation 5 controller more than I like the Xbox One controller, so I play on PlayStation 5 when it's third-party games. So, I don't know. We're going to see how this all plays out. Sony is lobbying very hard, and it's interesting. It's interesting to watch this all play out. I love how the FTC likes to get involved with stuff like this, but they don't get involved when there's collusion with big tech. Interesting how that works out, but that's neither here nor there for this discussion. We'll have more news on this topic here on the main Geeks and Gamers channel and on Geeks and Gamers Play. You guys have a great day. Thank you very much for checking out this video, and we will talk to you later.